It's time for Waking Up with Wesley. Today's forecast and weather-wide discussion with WLOX First Alert Weather's senior meteorologist, Wesley Williams.
Hello there, South Mississippi, and thank you for waking up with Wesley. I'm senior meteorologist Wesley Williams. We're going to dive into the rain in today's update, talking all the details about how much to expect, how much we've seen, and what's all behind this rainmaker. And we'll also take a look at the forecast into the rest of the week, as well as the upcoming weekend. But before we dive into the rain, maybe a small detour before we start, since we're on the interwebs in the digital sphere right now. I just wanted to take a moment to celebrate and happy Spotify Wrapped Day to those of you who celebrate. The day was yesterday, but maybe some of you are waking up today and checking your Spotify app. I just wanted to bring a fun tidbit before I started. Apparently, my listening age is 18. So apparently, I listen to mostly new music and my taste is trending. So how about that? I'm a young whippersnapper, huh? Tell that to all the gray hairs on my face. All right, so fun aside, now that you are fully woken up, let's take you out the window and take a look at what's happening on our cams in South Mississippi. Biloxi Gulfport, some raindrops there. A lot of clouds in the sky, and it's a wet, soggy start to the day. So behind this pattern is a series of low-pressure systems. They are developing along the Gulf Coast. There's a frontal boundary associated with them as well. You could call this part of the front, I'll circle it for you. This part of the front, you could call it a warm front if you want. This part of the front, you can call it a cool front if you want, but the frontal boundary is not really going to be moving all that much, so I just call it a stationary front. And that means it's going to stay put. But the areas of low pressure, the waves of low pressure, they're actually going to move along that frontal boundary. The first one of them moving close to the Louisiana and Mississippi coast today, and that's how we're going to get the potential for some heavy rain. We're going to see another low pressure move in at times tomorrow into Saturday, and that's how we'll see the next round. So multiple rounds of this sort of rainy weather. Today, I think, has our potential for the heaviest rain out of the next 2 to 3 days. So that's why we're basically calling it a washout. Heavy downpours, you can see that purple color there indicating the potential for heavy rain. One computer model showing that between now and tomorrow morning, we could pick up around 1 to 2 inches of rain in most areas. And in some isolated spots, there might even be some higher totals. And so that's where that risk of flooding really comes in. And we're going to jump right into the futurecast here. We'll make it a little bit larger on your screen so you can pay close attention to the setup. We'll rewind this to the current time during the 8:30 half hour. So there's a look at what the future radar is showing. Notice, where do we see most of the yellow color, the more intense rain? Most of that is back in this neck of the woods, from areas west of New Orleans up toward Hattiesburg and into the Pine Belt. So where's it going? All of this is going to begin moving toward the east. And so there are some places this morning that may not be getting as much heavy rain during the 8 o'clock hour. Yeah, I'm looking at y'all in coastal Jackson County, coastal Harrison County, where there's some lighter, steadier rain happening, but it's not very intense. But that intensity, I think, will increase in the places I just mentioned between now and midday. And you can literally see why. When we put the play button on here, watch how this all plays out, and you see that yellow and orange color moving eastward through South Mississippi. So even though the first part of the day kind of soggy, we begin to see those drenching downpours as we head into the midday hours. So those hours of 11 in the morning, noon, 1 in the afternoon, that's when our rain chances are going to be as close to 100% as they can go. In some cases, they literally hit 100%. And that will likely continue into the afternoon. So we're seeing widespread rain across the area impacting your afternoon activities. You're going to have to plan around this rain. Have a plan for rain. Obviously, take your umbrella, take your raincoat with you. And even for the ride home later today, I'm still seeing yellow and orange on the map. If we stop the clock at 5 or 6 p.m., look at those little dots of yellow there, indicating there could still be some isolated downpours along with the widespread rain that would be happening in the area for Thursday afternoon, or rather Thursday evening, and that could actually continue into Thursday night. So when you look at the planner and kind of just take a look at the whole day at once at a glance, you can see that those rain chances are mainly going to stay in that 90 to 100% range for the majority of the day here. Now, the plus side with this is that we don't have a lot of warm air. I know that's not very comfortable, but what it will do for us is it actually helps to limit the risk of severe weather. So any thunderstorms out there, maybe there might be 1 or 2 rumbles of thunder, but they're not going to be able to tap into that heat energy necessary for severe weather. What do we mean when we say severe weather? It's literally 3 specific things. You're looking at them on that third line there. Tornadoes, hail, damaging gusts. That is the meteorological definition of severe weather. And we're not expecting any of that. So that's the good news there. I don't think there will be enough heat energy for thunderstorms to become that intense. But there might still be a few rumbles of thunder. Most of this is just going to be rain. So by the end of this, the easy way to say it is all of us are going to see rain. A few of us might hear thunder. And basically no one is going to expect any tornadoes, hail, and damaging straight line winds. Now this pattern is going to stay wet into tomorrow, but I don't think we're going to carry the flooding risk with us into tomorrow because today is kind of our most intense rain day. So that's why you see this map here showing that level 1 out of 4 risk of flooding. Now, the only reason this is a level 1 out of 4 is because we are multiple months into our drought in South Mississippi. And I think the drought monitor might have just come out today with the new update. So I'm curious to see what it shows, keeping in mind that the drought monitor is released every Thursday, but the data in it is only valid to the previous Tuesday. So whatever we're about to see here includes any rain that we saw up till the day before yesterday. And I'm not sure if this is updated. It's hard to tell because it looks exactly like what we've seen in the last update. So I'm going to go to the website just to double check that the information we're looking at is the most recent, and it indeed does look like it. It had me second guessing it because it appears to be unchanged. It's kind of hard to believe. I mean, we did get a decent amount of rain earlier this week on Monday and Tuesday, but I guess even that was not enough to change or shift the drought at all for us. So that's why with the drought this prevalent, that's kind of a helping thing for us. It's going to keep our risk of flooding low because the ground is going to be able to drink up most of this rainwater without causing any major issues. But even that being said, there's still the risk of flooding is not zero because the rain can happen very heavily and it can happen in one spot very heavily, very quickly. And so that's why we're just giving you that first alert that today there might be a few roads that don't usually flood and they flood today. We hear this a lot. You know, you'll live on a street and then we send a reporter to you and you tell our reporter, it never floods on this street, but it did it today. So those are the types of sound bites if we get flooding in the area today. That's what we're talking about. If it's just your regular, schmegular, run-of-the-mill flooding, that's not alert worthy. But if it is flooding on streets, neighborhoods that don't usually get that, that's the thing that trips people up and makes you have excited reactions and could, surprise you and bring impacts to your home, your property, your business, and such. So just don't want to discount and count out the risk of flooding today. It just can't completely be ruled out. But I am hopeful that most of us are going to be spared since the probability of it is only a 1 out of 4. It's a very low probability, but it's not zero. Now, I will tell you, so far today, this is a look at since midnight, how much rain we've seen. There has been this one zone, basically near Saucier, near Picayune, near Poplarville, and near Perkinston. And that's where we've seen some of the most intense rain. We've all seen rain, but some of the most intense rain has been in that zone. And if it's not just so far today, which will be an 8-hour rain, but if we even just look at just the last 3 hours, look at that. There still is a bullseye there in purple, indicating rain amounts of greater than 2 inches in that zone. So in just the last 3 hours, there have kind of been haves and have-nots. A lot of the have-nots have been in these neighborhoods here, south of Interstate 10, Pascagoula, Gaucher, Ocean Springs, parts of Gulfport, Biloxi, Long Beach, Pass Christian, Bay St. Louis, Waveland. Those are all communities that haven't really had a whole bunch of rain over the last 3 hours. But it's a different story. If you drive to the north of Interstate 10, there's been way more rain in that bullseye area there. And I do want to just get a little bit of let's see if we can see some of those rain estimates. It's as close to Perkinston McHenry, about 1.5 inches of rain. Socia around 2 inches of rain. In the southeastern corner of Pearl River County near Highway 53, more than 2.5 inches of rain there. Getting closer to I-59 near Carrier, about 2 inches of rain. That's north of Picayune. And closer to Henleyfield, Highway 43, about 1.5 inches of rain. Now, close to Picayune proper, maybe only around 1/2 inch. Close to Poplarville proper, about 1.5 inches. And you can see Wiggins, maybe only around 1/2 inch, as well as near Big Level, looks like about 1 inch. And that's pretty much most of those communities there. Dido, about 1/4 inch. Wortham, about 1/4 inch of rain. So just wanted to give you an update on that bullseye of just the last 3 hours. Now, do we have any rain alerts in South Mississippi? And the answer is no. And we're not really expecting a whole bunch of those. That's why our probability of flooding is only a level 1 out of 4. There was a strong thunderstorm in Louisiana earlier. That has since dissipated. But there continue to be these flood advisories in Louisiana. And folks, I'm seeing it. It's coming right for us. If we pause this area of rain right here, this is likely going to clip into New Orleans and clip into parts of coastal Mississippi as we go into the rest of this morning and midday. Let me press the play button again and just watch the motion on that. And you can see that it is moving eastward. Apparently that actually sparked a flood advisory near the Baton Rouge Metro, which goes to 9:30. And so if that type of intensity comes toward our coast, it would not surprise me to see a flood advisory for us, especially if, I paused this, especially if some of this intensity gets up into the places that we've been seeing the heaviest rain so far. I showed you those 1 to 3 inch rain amounts in parts of Pearl River and Stone and northern Harrison and northern Hancock counties. If we get this stuff up there, we're probably going to see a flood advisory, which would be our first alert of the day. As far as rain's concerned, I know we have that high tide, the coastal flood advisory for higher than usual tides. That's not a rain alert. It's a higher than normal high tide alert. But as far as rain's concerned, that's what we're going to be watching. And that's why those rain chances kind of ramp up a little bit as we go into the next few hours, because that Louisiana activity is expected to move onto the Mississippi coast. So that's how we go from 80% to 90% to 100% over the next several hours. And we stay there during the midday before we see that decrease as we go into the rest of the evening and overnight. Now, we take a look at the 7-day forecast. This is the last thing we'll show before we go. And you'll note that we're still dealing with weather tomorrow. Showers likely on your Friday. And we'll make this bigger on your screen so you can see the futurecast play out. It shows that there's some showers around in the morning. But the best chances could be for Friday p.m. for South Mississippi. Watch what happens. This is 4 o'clock. Watch what happens between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. We start to see that rain really filling in for our area. So we have a 70% rain chance during the day on Friday, but we actually technically have an 80% chance at night Friday night. And that continues into parts of Saturday. We're thinking that we're going to start the early part of Saturday with a 70 to 80% chance. And then as we get to the daylight hours on Saturday, maybe we can see the chance come down. We may make some last minute adjustments to that 60% chance for rain on Saturday. Right now we're keeping it in the 60 to 80% range. But if you do have plans on Saturday, there's going to be some showers around at times. Is it going to be intense downpours? I don't think so. But it could be some light intensity rain that may eventually quiet down as we go into the evening and nighttime hours. And then hopefully we can kind of gradually dry out the weekend as we go towards Sunday. And then it looks like it will be completely dry once we go to next Monday. A dry high pressure system setting up. Could be breezy at times as that moves in. And we actually have the potential for at least one relatively cold morning next Tuesday morning, down into the 30s on the coast. I think we'll see 37 on the coast, and we probably will go down to 35, 34 inland, depending on cloud cover, of course. Earlier this week, we had a busted freeze forecast We were forecasting a light freeze, but it was too cloudy and we never froze. I think that was yesterday morning. So we'll see, maybe something like that happens next week. We're not going to make any early calls on a freeze Tuesday morning. It will really be cloud cover dependent. If we have a clear sky, maybe some of the temperatures get down to the middle and lower 30s. But for right now, the sky does not appear to be completely clear. There might be some clouds around that time. So too early to pull the trigger on a freeze possibility for that time heading into next Tuesday. So that's pretty much going to do it for this edition of Waking Up with Wesley. I've been Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams. We'll see you again next time. Till then, take care.
Thank you for watching Waking Up with Wesley with WLOX First Alert Weather Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams.